Jin stood at the center of the Great Hall on Harmony Prime Station. The massive room was filled with beings from across the galaxy. Some looked like giant insects. Others had blue skin and 4 arms. A few had scales instead of skin. All of them were much bigger than Jin. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Jin said into his small device. His voice came out of speakers around the room in dozens of different languages. Earth thanks you for another year of peace and friendship. The human diplomat was small compared to the aliens around him. He wore a simple black suit. His hair was neat and short. He smiled as he spoke. To the aliens watching, he looked weak and harmless. Hannah sat in the back row of the human section. She wore the same black suit as Jin, but her eyes moved constantly. Around the room, she counted weapons. She noted which aliens carried guards. She memorized the exits. The other species thought she was just another peaceful human diplomat. They were wrong. Earth has built 3 new schools this year, Jin continued. We have also sent medical supplies to 12 worlds that needed help. We believe that helping others makes us all stronger. A low rumble came from the Vorthan section. The Vorthans looked like giant bears with gray fur and metal claws. Their leader, General Krex, stood up slowly. The humans speak of strength, Krex said. His voice was deep and rough. But where are their warships? Where are their armies? Several aliens in the room made sounds that might have been laughing. The Zephyrians clicked their insect-like mouths together. The hegemony delegates flapped their wing arms. Jin smiled wider. General Krexearth believes that true strength comes from peace. We have no need for large armies when we have friends. Krex sat down with a heavy thud. He whispered something to another Vorthan. Both of them looked at Jin like he was a small, helpless animal. In the back, Day typed quietly on a small computer. To everyone else, he was taking notes about the meeting, but his fingers moved in patterns that sent secret messages to Earth. Every word spoken in this room would be studied by human intelligence officers within the hour. The meeting continued for 3 more hours. Species after species stood up to talk about trade deals and territory disputes. Some complained about pirates. Others asked for help with natural disasters. Each time, Jin offered peaceful solutions. Send teachers instead of soldiers. Share food instead of taking land. Talk instead of fight. The aliens nodded politely, but their eyes showed what they really thought. Humans were useful for solving small problems. They were good at paperwork and organizing supplies, but they were not warriors. They were not leaders. This was exactly what Jin wanted them to think. After the meeting ended, Jin walked through the station's main corridor with Hannah and Day. The corridor was huge, built for species much larger than humans. The ceiling was so high that Jin could not see it clearly. The Vorthans are planning something, Hannah said quietly. I know, Jin replied. So are the Hegemony and the Razor clans. Day looked at his computer screen. Intelligence says they have been meeting in secret for 6 months. They call themselves the Expansion Coalition. Jin nodded. They walked past a group of young Zephyrians. The insect-like aliens towered over the humans, but they stepped aside to let them pass. They did this out of politeness, not respect. How long do we have? Jin asked. Maybe 2 weeks, Day answered. They are still arguing about which human colonies to take first. Hannah almost smiled. Almost. Do they really think we don't know? The 3 humans reached their transport ship. It was small and white, with no visible weapons. Like everything else about humanity's public face, it looked peaceful and harmless. Inside the ship, Jin removed his jacket and tie. He walked to a hidden panel in the wall and pressed his hand against it. The panel opened, showing screens and computers that definitely did not belong on a diplomatic vessel. Send the message, Jin told Day. Day's fingers moved quickly over a keyboard. The message was short and simple. They are ready to move. Begin Phase 2. The message traveled through secret channels to Earth. It would reach the real decision-makers within minutes. Not the diplomats and teachers that the galaxy knew about. The others. On the main screen, Jin watched a recording of General Krex from Earlier that day, the Vorthon was talking to his advisors after the meeting ended. The humans are even weaker than we thought, Krex was saying. 50 years in the galaxy, and they still have no real military. They spend their money on schools and hospitals. Another Vorthon nodded. Their colonies in the Outer Rim have no defenses. We could take them easily. It will be like taking food from a sleeping child, Krex agreed. Jin turned off the recording. For 50 years, humans had attended every council meeting. They had signed every peace treaty. They had sent aid to disaster zones and teachers to primitive worlds. They had been the perfect galactic citizens. Every species in the galaxy trusted them. More importantly, every species in the galaxy had shown them their weapons, their ships, their military tactics, and their weaknesses. Hannah sat down at another console. Her screen showed detailed maps of Vorthon military bases. She knew where they kept their ships. She knew how many soldiers they had. She knew what they ate for breakfast. 50 years of homework, she said quietly. Jin looked out the ship's window. At the space station around them, thousands of aliens moved through the corridors below. They came from dozens of different worlds. They spoke hundreds of different languages. They had different cultures, different values, different ways of thinking. Jin knew all of them. For 50 years, humanity had been the galaxy's favorite students. They had asked questions about everything. They had visited every world. They had studied every culture. They had learned every language. The aliens had been happy to teach them. Humans were so curious, so eager to learn. So harmless. Jin picked up his jacket and put it back on. He straightened his tie and fixed his hair in the mirror. In a few hours, he would attend another meeting. He would smile and offer peaceful solutions to difficult problems. The aliens would listen politely and think of him as weak. They had no idea what was coming. Jin said. Send one more message to Earth. What should it say? Jin looked at the screens, showing alien military positions, troop movements, and battle plans. 50 years of careful observation had given humanity something no other species possessed: complete knowledge of their enemies. Tell them the students have learned enough, Jin said. It's time for the final exam. The message arrived at Earth's diplomatic center at 0800 hours. Min stood in the war room deep beneath Geneva, watching the screens that showed incoming transmissions from across the galaxy. The room was nothing like the peaceful offices upstairs, where tourists visited. This room had weapons, maps, battle plans. General Min, a young officer, called out, "Priority message from the Expansion Coalition." Min walked over to the main screen. She was tall for a human, with short black hair and scars on her hands that she never explained to aliens. For 50 years, she had pretended to be a supply coordinator. The galaxy knew her as the woman who organized food, shipments, and medical supplies. They did not know she had never lost a battle. Put it on screen, Min ordered. General Krex appeared on the display. Behind him stood leaders from 6 other species. All of them looked confident. All of them looked pleased with themselves. People of Earth, Krex began. The Expansion Coalition has made a decision. Your colonies in the Outer Rim are sitting on valuable resources that the galaxy needs. Min said nothing. She watched and listened. We are not unreasonable, Krex continued. We will give you 72 hours to remove your people from these worlds. After that, we will take control of them. This is not war. This is progress. Hegemony leader stepped forward. His forearms moved as he spoke. Your people can return to Earth. We will even provide transport ships. We simply need these worlds for the greater good of the galaxy. You have been good members of our community, added a Razor Clan chief. We do not want to hurt you. Just leave, and no one dies. The message ended. The room fell silent. Bo walked up to Min, carrying a thick folder. He looked like a simple data analyst. Quiet, shy, always reading from computer screens. The aliens who had met him thought he was boring. Bo was the most dangerous human they had never heard of. Analysis complete, General Bo said. They expect total compliance within 60 hours. Their ships are already moving toward our colonies. Min opened the folder. Inside were detailed reports on every ship, every weapon, every soldier in the Expansion Coalition. She had been reading reports like this for 30 years. How many ships? Min asked. 412 combat vessels. Approximately 50,000 ground troops. They are using standard formation patterns from their training manuals. Min almost smiled. Training manuals that humans had helped write during joint military exercises. Exercises where Earth had played the role of weak allies who needed protection. Soon entered the room, carrying another set of reports. She had spent the last 15 years as a colonial administrator. She knew every human settlement in the Outer Rim. She also knew things about those settlements that aliens had never been told. Colonial report, General Soon said. All outer colonies confirm readiness. Phase 3 defenses are active. Population shelters are sealed. What about civilian evacuation? Min asked, though she already knew the answer. No civilian evacuation required. Ma'am, there are no civilians in the Outer Rim. This was the first big lie Earth had told the galaxy. The humans living on those distant worlds were not farmers and miners and shopkeepers. They were soldiers, engineers, intelligence officers. Every single one of them was military personnel trained for exactly this situation, the galaxy thought. Humans had built peaceful colonies. They had actually built military bases disguised as small towns. Min walked to the central command table. The surface lit up, showing a three-dimensional map of local space. Red dots showed coalition ships moving toward human worlds. Blue dots showed human positions. The red dots outnumbered the blue dots by more than 10 to 1, Bo Min said. Show me their weaknesses. Bo touched the table surface. New information appeared above each red dot. Ship specifications, crew numbers, weapon ranges, shield frequencies, supply routes. Vorthen shields fail when hit with rotating electromagnetic pulses, Bo said. Hegemony sensors cannot detect ships using compressed hydrogen fuel. Razor Clan engines overheat if pushed above 87% power for more than 6 minutes. Min nodded. 50 years of joint training exercises had taught humans everything they needed to know about alien military technology. The aliens had been happy to show off their powerful ships and advanced weapons to their weak human allies. Communications, Min called out. Day stepped forward. He had returned from Harmony Prime an hour ago. Yes, General, send a reply to the Coalition. Text only, keep it simple. What should it say? Min looked at the display showing coalition ships approaching human space. Hundreds of vessels carrying thousands of soldiers. All of them expecting an easy victory against defenseless humans. Tell them, thank you for your generous offer. Humanity respectfully declines. Day looked surprised. That's all, that's all. As Day sent the message, Soon stepped closer to Min. General, should I give the evacuation order to our people? What people? Min asked. Soon smiled. It was not a nice smile. You're right, there are no people to evacuate, only soldiers waiting for orders. Min turned to address the entire room. 50 officers and analysts looked up from their screens and displays. All of them had spent decades pretending to be peaceful diplomats, trade coordinators, and cultural exchange officers. Ladies and gentlemen, Min announced. For 50 years, we have been students. We have learned everything our teachers wanted to show us. We know their languages, their cultures, their technologies, and their tactics. She paused and looked at each face in the room. Today, we graduate. Across the room, screens began showing new information. Hidden military bases came. Online, ships that had been disguised as cargo vessels revealed their true nature. Weapons that did not officially exist began warming up. Bo Min continued. Activate all sleeper agents. I want full intelligence on coalition movements within the hour. Already done, General. Our people have been in position for years. Soon. What is the status of our colonial defenses? All defensive systems are active. Our mining equipment is now showing its true purpose. The aliens are going to be very surprised when our drill platforms start shooting back. Min walked to the main communication station. On the screen, she could see Jin's transport ship heading back to Earth from Harmony Prime. He would arrive just in time for the real show to begin. Send a message to all human forces, Min ordered. Tell them the homework period is over. It's time to show our teachers what we learned. The message went out through secure channels to every human military unit in the galaxy. Soldiers who had spent decades disguised as merchants, teachers, and aid workers began revealing their true equipment and training. On distant worlds, human colonists opened hidden weapons caches and powered up defensive systems that the galaxy had never imagined existed. In space, cargo ships began shedding their fake outer hulls to reveal military vessels underneath. Min watched the displays as hundreds of blue dots appeared on the tactical map. Ships and bases and weapons that the Expansion Coalition had no idea existed. General Bo said quietly, "Coalition fleet will reach our territory in 18 hours. Good, Min replied. That gives us time to prepare a proper welcome. She looked up at the main screen, which still showed the arrogant face of General Krex. From his recorded ultimatum, "You wanted to see what humans do when threatened," Min said to the empty image. "You're about to find out." Gil sat in the cockpit of his fighter ship, watching the Coalition fleet approach through the darkness of space. His ship looked small and fragile compared to the massive Vorthan battleships heading toward the human colony of New Sol. But looks could be deceiving. "Ghost Squadron, this is Ghost Leader." Gil spoke into his headset. "Enemy ships are entering our space. Remember your training." Around him, 24 other human fighters powered up their engines. For years, these ships had been hidden in asteroids and fake mining stations. The Coalition had no idea they existed. "Ghost Leader, this is Control," came a voice from the hidden command center on New Sol. "You are clear to engage. Show them what humans really are." Gil smiled and pushed his engines to full power. The Coalition fleet was huge. Vorthan battleships the size of city blocks. Hegemony carriers filled with fightercraft. Razorclan destroyers with enough firepower to crack planets. General Krex sat on the bridge of his flagship, watching the human colony grow larger on his screens. There, he pointed with one massive claw. "A few small settlements. Some mining? Equipment. This will be easier than I thought." His sensor officer looked confused. "Sir, I'm not detecting any defensive systems. No orbital platforms. No military ships." "Of course not," Krex laughed. "These are humans. They probably don't even own weapons." At that moment, Gil's fighter squadron came out of the asteroid field, like ghosts made of metal and fire. The first Vorthan ship to die never saw what hit it. Gil's fighter appeared next to the destroyer's bridge, fired 3 shots with weapons the aliens had never seen before, and vanished again. The destroyer exploded in a ball of white fire. "What was that?" Krex roared. "Report." "Unknown contact, sir. It just ... disappeared." Gil was already attacking the second ship. His fighter had cloaking technology that humans had developed by studying every alien stealth system in the galaxy and making something better. "Ghost 2, take the carrier," Gil ordered. Ghost 3 and 4 hit the supply ships. The human fighters moved through the Coalition fleet like deadly shadows. They appeared, struck, and vanished before the aliens could fight back. On New Sol, Ewan crouched behind a rock watching hegemony dropships land near the main settlement. The 4-armed aliens came out carrying heavy weapons and wearing thick armor. What they did not know was that Ewan had been on this planet for 12 years. They thought he was a farmer. He had actually spent those 12 years preparing for this exact moment. "Strike Team Alpha, this is Strike Leader," Ewan whispered into his communicator. "Begin infiltration." Ewan and his team were not farmers. They were Earth's best Special Forces soldiers. Every human colonist on New Sol was actually military personnel with years of advanced training. The hegemony troops marched toward the settlement, expecting to find scared civilians. Instead, they found empty buildings and silence. Where Is everyone? The hegemony commander asked his soldiers. That was when the ground under their feet exploded. Yoon had spent 12 years building tunnels under the colony. Tunnels filled with weapons, supplies, and soldiers. The aliens had walked into a trap that had taken over a decade to prepare. Human soldiers appeared from hidden positions all around the alien troops. The hegemony forces were surrounded before they realized they were under attack. Surrender, Yoon called out in perfect hegemony language. Your weapons cannot penetrate our armor, but ours will cut through yours like paper. The hegemony commander looked around at his trapped soldiers. Somehow, the weak human colonists had become an army of professional warriors. He dropped his weapon. In space, Admiral Ara watched the battle from the bridge of her flagship. Her ship was massive, built in secret shipyards hidden in the asteroid belts around Earth. For 50 years, humans had been building a fleet that no alien knew existed. Admiral, her communications officer reported. Ghost Squadron has destroyed 12 enemy vessels. Colonial Defense Forces have captured all ground troops on New Sol. Ara nodded. She had expected nothing less. Human forces had been training for this battle for decades. What about the other colonies? She asked. Similar results, ma'am. New Busan reports complete victory. New Incheon has captured an entire Razor Clan battle group. New Daegu hasn't even needed to fire a shot. The enemy surrendered after seeing what happened to the others. Ara looked at the main display showing the coalition fleet. Half their ships were already destroyed or disabled. The survivors were trying to retreat. Open a channel to the coalition flagship, Ara ordered. General Krex's face appeared on the screen. His confident expression was gone. Now he looked confused and afraid. General Krex Ara said calmly, I am Admiral Ara of the Earth Defense Force. You came here expecting to find helpless colonists. Your people, ... They're not civilians, Krex said. They're soldiers. All of them, yes, Ara agreed. Did you really think we would send defenseless people to live on dangerous frontier worlds? Every human in the Outer Rim is military personnel. Krex's eyes widened. But your ships, ... your weapons. We've never seen anything like them, Ara smiled. It was not a friendly smile. General, for 50 years you taught us about your military technology. You showed us your ships, your weapons, your tactics. You were very proud of your superior firepower. She paused, letting that sink in. What you didn't realize is that we were taking notes. On the tactical display behind Ara, more human ships appeared. They had been hidden throughout the system, waiting for the right moment. Ships built using technology borrowed from every species in the galaxy, then improved by human engineering. Every joint training exercise was a lesson, Ara continued. Every cultural exchange taught us your weaknesses. Every peace treaty gave us access to your military databases. Krex looked at his own tactical display. Coalition ships were being destroyed faster than he could count them. We studied you, Ara said. We learned from you. We became better than you. Jin's voice suddenly came over the communication channel from Earth. Admiral Ara, this is Diplomatic Command. Please broadcast the prepared message to all coalition forces. Yes, sir. Ara switched to galaxy-wide emergency broadcast. Her message would reach every ship, every planet, every space station in known space. Attention! Members of the Galactic Coalition, she began. This is Admiral Ara of Earth Defense Command. For 50 years, humanity has been your student. We have learned your languages, studied your cultures, and observed your military capabilities. She looked directly into the camera. Today, class is over. The broadcast continued as human forces across the system completed their victories. Coalition ships that tried to fight were quickly destroyed. Those that tried to run were captured by human vessels that appeared out of nowhere. You made one mistake, Ara continued. You assumed that because we chose peace, we were not capable of war. You thought our civilization made us weak. On New Sol, Yoon stood over the captured hegemony commander. Around them, human soldiers efficiently processed prisoners and secured alien equipment in space. Gil's fighter squadron regrouped after destroying an entire enemy battle group. Their ships had taken no damage. The alien weapons could not even target them properly. You were wrong, Era concluded. Her broadcast, we only pretended to be civilized. The battle was over in less than 6 hours. The mighty expansion coalition, with their hundreds of ships and thousands of soldiers, had been completely defeated by forces they never knew existed. As Aera ended her broadcast, she opened a private channel to General Krex. "General," she said, "you wanted to see what humans do when threatened. Now you know." Krex said nothing. His ship was surrounded by human vessels, all of them armed with weapons he could not identify or understand. "We'll talk more soon," Ara added. "But first, we need to have a conversation with the rest of the galaxy." She cut the communication and looked at her officers. "Send word to Earth," she ordered. "Tell them Phase 4 is ready to begin." Sue stood in front of cameras at Earth's Science Center. But this was not the peaceful, educational broadcast the galaxy was expecting. Behind her, screens showed images that made alien viewers across the galaxy step back in fear. Pictures of Earth's ancient predators. Videos of human hunters chasing prey for days without stopping. Records of human wars that lasted for centuries. "Hello friends across the galaxy," Sue began. Her voice was calm and friendly, the same voice that had taught alien children about Earth's flowers and butterflies. "Today, I want to teach you about human evolution." On Vorthan Prime, General Krex watched from his prison cell. Human guards stood outside his door. They were polite and professional, but Krex had seen what these peaceful humans could do in battle. "Humans evolved as persistent hunters," Sue continued. "We are not the strongest animals on our world. We are not the fastest, but we have one ability that makes us very dangerous." The screen showed human runners chasing animals across endless plains. "We never stop." Krex felt his fur stand up. He remembered the human attacks on his fleet. Ships that appeared and disappeared. Soldiers who struck and vanished. Fighting that went on for hours without the humans ever slowing down. "Other predators hunt in short bursts," Sue explained. "They run fast, attack quickly, then rest. Humans are different. We can run for days, we can fight for weeks. We can plan for years." On the hegemony homeworld, Council Leader Vex watched with all 4 of his arms shaking. His military advisors had told him the human war would be over in hours. Instead, human forces had captured every hegemony battle group in less than a day. "Humans are also pack hunters," Sue continued. "We work together better than any other species we have found. When one human learns something, all humans learn it. When one human finds a weakness, all humans know how to use it." The screen showed human soldiers moving together like parts of a single mind. No wasted motion. No confusion. Perfect coordination. Han stepped up to another camera in a different room. He was a quiet man who had spent 50 years organizing cultural exchange programs. Aliens thought he was interested in art and poetry. They had never asked what he did. "Before becoming a cultural ambassador, let me tell you about human history," Han said. "We told you about our peaceful periods. We showed you our art and music and literature. But we did not tell you everything." The screen behind Han filled with images of human warfare through the ages. Castles under siege. Ships burning at sea. Armies marching across continents. "Humans have been fighting wars for 10,000 years, Han continued. "We have conquered every environment on our planet. Deserts, mountains, frozen wastelands. Deep oceans, we have fought in all of them." On Razor Prime, Clan Chief Vel watched the broadcast with growing horror. Her people were known as the fiercest warriors in the galaxy. But these images showed humans fighting wars that lasted longer than most species even lived. "We have fought with sticks and stones," Han said. "We have fought with swords and guns. We have fought with machines and computers. Every time we learned new ways to kill, we also learned new ways to win." The images changed to show human strategies and tactics. Battles won through patience and planning. Enemies defeated not through strength, but through intelligence and endurance. When we joined your Galactic Council, Han continued, we studied every war you had ever fought. We learned from your victories and your defeats. We understood your tactics better than you did. Na appeared on a third screen. She looked like a gentle teacher, the kind of human who helped alien children learn Earth languages. Her voice was soft and kind. Her words were terrifying. We know how each of your species thinks, Na said. We have studied your psychology for 50 years. We know what makes you afraid. We know what makes you angry. We know what makes you surrender, she smiled. It was the same smile she had used when teaching alien children, but now it looked different. Vorthans are proud warriors, but they fear being seen as weak. Hegemony troops fight bravely in groups, but panic when alone. Razor clans are fierce in quick battles, but lose hope in long campaigns. Across the galaxy, alien military leaders realized that humans had not just been learning their technology, they had been studying their minds. Every cultural exchange was a lesson in psychology, Nay continued. Every joint training exercise taught us how you react under pressure. Every diplomatic meeting showed us your decision-making patterns. The screens showed recordings of human diplomats asking innocent questions during peace talks. Questions about military traditions. Questions about how different species handled stress. Questions about what scared them. We have been inside your heads for 50 years, Na said quietly. We know you better than you know yourselves. On Earth, Jin watched the broadcasts from his office. Around him, screens showed alien reactions from across the galaxy. Fear, confusion, growing panic. Phase 5 is ready, an aide reported. Begin the demonstrations, Jin ordered. Across space, human ships began new broadcasts. Not words this time, but actions. A single human destroyer approached a massive Vortan space fortress. The fortress had shields that could stop any known weapon, guns that could destroy entire fleets. The human ship fired once. The fortress exploded. General, Krex whispered from his cell. His human guard answered politely. We studied your shield frequency during joint defense exercises 3 years ago. We built weapons specifically designed to penetrate Vorthon defenses. On another screen, a human squad of just 10 soldiers surrounded a hegemony military base. Defended by 500 troops, the base surrendered without a shot being fired. Impossible, breathed Council Leader Vex. The explanation came in No's continued broadcast. We sent them a psychological warfare signal that triggers panic responses in hegemony neural patterns. Their own minds made them afraid to fight. Ship after ship, base after base, the demonstrations continued. Humans showed that they had specific countermeasures for every alien military asset. Weapons designed to defeat specific shields. Tactics created to exploit particular weaknesses. Psychological attacks tailored to individual species. 50 years of homework, Sue said, appearing on screen again. You taught us everything we needed to know to defeat you, Han joined her. Every piece of technology you shared with us became a weapon against you. Nay completed the thought. Every cultural detail you showed us became a tool to control you. The 3 humans stood together, looking directly into the cameras. You made one fundamental mistake, Sue said. You assumed that intelligence without aggression meant weakness. You forgot that humans are predators, Han added. And predators are most dangerous when they are patient. Na finished. Jin opened a communication channel to every government in the galaxy. Leaders of the Galactic Council, he said. This is Earth's final diplomatic message. For 50 years, we have been your students, your allies, and your friends. We learned everything you had to teach us. He paused, letting his words reach every capital world, every military base, every space station. Class is now over. Tomorrow, we begin teaching you. The broadcasts ended. Across the galaxy, alien leaders sat in silence, finally understanding what they had awakened. Humanity had not changed. They had simply stopped pretending to be something they were not. The real war was about to begin, and this time, the humans would be the teachers. 6 months after the war ended, Lee stood on the balcony of what used to be the Vorthan Military Command Center. Now, It was the human administrative center for the Vorthen sector. The building looked the same, but everything inside had changed. Governor Lee, his assistant, said, "The morning reports are ready." Lee was not a cruel ruler. He did not torture prisoners or destroy cities. He was something much more frightening to the aliens under his control. He was efficient in 6 months. Lee had reorganized Vorthen society. Better than the Vorthens had managed in 600 years, crime was down. Food production was up. The economy was growing. The Vorthons hated that it was working so well. "What about the resistance groups?" Lee asked. "Down to just 12 members. Sir, they keep trying to organize, but they can't agree on anything. Vorthens are too proud to follow each other's orders." Lee nodded. Humans had studied Vorthen psychology for 50 years. They knew exactly how to keep the warrior species divided and peaceful. "Send them more propaganda about their glorious military history," Lee ordered. "Keep them arguing about which general was the greatest. As long as they're debating the past, they won't unite for the future." On Harmony Prime Station, Ray sat in the same chamber where Jin had given his peaceful speeches for 50 years. But now she sat in the council leader's chair. The aliens around the table looked at her with fear and respect. "Today, we will discuss the new trade agreements," Ray announced. The Zephorian representative raised one of his insect arms. "Honored human leader, these agreements seem one-sided." Ray smiled. It was a polite smile, but the aliens in the room had learned to fear human politeness. "Ambassador Clicks, these agreements are perfectly fair. You provide raw materials. We provide finished goods and protection. You get advanced technology and peaceful borders. Everyone benefits. But the prices are exactly what you can afford," Ray finished. "We have analyzed your economy down to the last credit. These prices will keep you prosperous but not wealthy, comfortable but not powerful." Clix's antennae drooped. Like every other species, the Zepharians had discovered that humans understood their economy better than they did. "The vote is unanimous," Ray declared, even though no one had voted. "The new agreements are accepted." No one argued. They had learned that arguing with humans was pointless. Humans always had better information, better plans, and better alternatives. Ready. On a distant world called New Olsen, Ben watched as another group of alien refugees arrived at the human settlement. They came carrying everything they owned, looking for a new place to live. "Welcome to New Olsen," Ben told them in their own language. "We are happy to have you here." The refugees were Kalani, a species that had lived on 3 worlds before humans arrived. Now they lived on 12 worlds, all of them under human protection. Governor Ben, the colony leader, said nervously, "We want to thank you for accepting us, but we must ask, why do you help us?" Ben looked surprised by the question. "Because you asked for help. That is what civilized people do." It was true. The humans were not conquerors in the traditional sense. They did not enslave alien species or steal their resources. Instead, they offered something much more seductive: perfect government. Under human rule, every species was healthier, safer, and more prosperous than they had ever been. The humans seemed to know exactly how to organize any society for maximum efficiency and happiness. "The housing units are ready," Ben continued. "Jobs have been assigned based on your skills and preferences. Schools for your children will open next week." The Kalani leader looked confused. "But how do you know our skills? How do you know our preferences?" "We have been studying your people for 47 years, Ben explained patiently. "We know what jobs make Kalani happy. We know how you like to arrange your homes. We know what foods your children need to grow strong." This was the terrifying reality of human rule. They were not cruel masters. They were perfect managers who understood every alien species better than those species understood themselves. Back on Earth, Jin stood in his old office at the diplomatic center. On his desk were requests for human assistance from 18 different species. Not requests for help against human rule, but requests for human rule itself. "Sir," his aide reported, The Polarian Council is asking if we would consider taking administrative control of their remaining colonies. They say their government is too corrupt to fix itself. Jin was not surprised. In the past 6 months, 23 species had voluntarily requested human oversight of their governments. They had seen how well other aliens lived under human administration. What about the Orvian Empire? Jin asked. Still holding out, sir, but their economy is collapsing. Their military is in chaos. They'll ask for our help within the year. Jin walked to his window and looked out at the Geneva skyline. 50 years ago, this had been the headquarters of Earth's diplomatic mission to the galaxy. Now, it was the capital of the galaxy itself. Any word from our deep space scouts? Jin asked. Yes, sir. They've made contact with the Andromeda Confederation. First meetings are going very well. The Andromedans are interested in cultural exchange programs. Jin smiled. There were other galaxies out there, other species to meet, to study, to understand. The work was never finished. Send them our standard diplomatic package, Jin ordered. Art, music, literature, stories about our peaceful history. Make sure they see us as curious students who want to learn about their wonderful civilization. Yes, sir. What about military preparations? Begin Phase 1, Intelligence Gathering. I want to know everything about Andromedan, psychology, technology, and military doctrine within 5 years. And if they prove hostile, Sir Jin looked back at his aide. The young man had been born after humanity took control of the galaxy. To him, human dominance was natural and normal. Then we'll do what we always do, Jin said. We'll pretend to be weak until we're ready to be strong. On Harmony Prime, the evening news was broadcasting across the galaxy. The human news anchor smiled pleasantly as she read the day's reports. Trade is up 17% in the Vorthen sector. Crime continues to decrease in all human-administered zones. The Kalani refugee crisis has been completely resolved with no loss of life. In their homes across the galaxy, aliens watched and listened. Some felt angry about their lost independence. Others felt grateful for the peace and prosperity. All of them felt safe. In other news, the anchor continued. Earth's cultural exchange program has established first contact with the Andromedan Confederation. Ambassador Jin will lead a mission of teachers, artists, and scientists to share human knowledge. With our new galactic neighbors, the broadcast showed Jin boarding a ship with a team of smiling diplomats. They looked exactly like the peaceful humans who had first arrived at the Galactic Council 60 years ago. Curious, friendly, harmless. The Andromedans have invited us to learn about their civilization, the anchor explained. They are particularly interested in sharing their military traditions and defensive technologies. Jin's ship disappeared into hyperspace, carrying its cargo of students who were eager to learn everything their new teachers wanted to show them. On Earth, in the deep underground chambers where humanity's real leaders worked, General Min looked at star charts showing the Andromeda Galaxy. How many species? She asked. Approximately 4,000 civilizations, Bo replied. Most of them more advanced than anything we found in this galaxy. Good, Min said. We'll need the challenge. She turned to address the room full of intelligence officers and strategic planners. Gentlemen, ladies, she announced. We have a new class to attend. I want full cultural analysis, psychological profiles, and military assessments on all Andromeda species within 10 years. What's the timeline for contact? An officer asked. Jin estimates first meaningful exchanges will begin within 2 years. Full diplomatic relations within 5. We should be ready to graduate within 20. Men looked at the star charts again. Somewhere out there, advanced alien civilizations were preparing to meet the friendly humans from the Milky Way. They would share their knowledge, their technology, their secrets. They would teach humanity everything they needed to know. Class is about to begin again, Min said quietly. Let's make sure we're good students. The room filled with quiet laughter, not cruel laughter, but the satisfied laughter of predators who had found new hunting grounds. Humanity's greatest lesson was complete. They had learned that the best way to conquer the galaxy was to make everyone think they were the victims of it. Now, it was time for the next lesson. And there were so many more galaxies to learn about.